You've likely seen the news about Prince Harry and his disagreement with King Charles over money, but it seems like Harry might be overlooking all the financial support the king has given him. Let's dive into this topic in the video and welcome back to the King YouTube channel. Prince Harry has claimed that his father, King Charles, then Prince Charles, told him there wasn't enough money for Meghan Markle before they got married. The timing of this conversation isn't entirely clear. Some articles suggest King Charles paid for Meghan's expensive wardrobe, which included outfits costing thousands of pounds. Her high spending on clothes caused financial concerns, but it didn't stop there. Reportedly, the king also covered the cost of Meghan's wedding dress and other pricey outfits. Her expensive taste seemed to strain his budget, possibly leading the king to decide to stop supporting Meghan. This situation may be why Harry accused his father of oppressing him financially, but that doesn't seem to tell the whole story. The king released financial records showing he provided Harry and Meghan with money even after they left their roles as working royals. It's upsetting for many in the UK to see the royal family spending huge amounts on clothing while people struggle to afford necessities. Harry and Meghan's lavish spending on extravagant outfits can come across as out of touch. In contrast, Princess Catherine often wears clothes and jewelry that are accessible to most people, which is something Meghan seems to struggle with. Harry was nearing 40 when he complained about being cut off during the Oprah Winfrey interview. But he didn't mention the significant financial support his father provided, such as helping fund his new home and life in California. We should also remember the money they received when they left the UK and the lack of gratitude towards Canadians who covered their security expenses during their stay. It's tough to sympathize with two adults complaining about being cut off financially or leaving their job when they walked away with millions. Most people don't receive such generous severance packages. They didn't mention that they received millions when they left and then had the audacity to ask for more. Of course, Charles had to say no. What happened to all that money? They don't even own anything, they just rented a house. Their behavior seems greedy, especially Meghan, who insists on living a lavish lifestyle. Yes, members of the royal family are expected to dress well, but they know how to invest in high-quality items that last, which is why they often wear the same things multiple times. Recently, Anne was seen wearing a coat that once belonged to the late Queen. She often wears clothes she has had for years, even decades, and still looks great in them. This highlights the difference between old money class and new celebrity class. Harry and Meghan often seek handouts and free perks like security, clothing, jet rides, and hotels. They seem to constantly ask for freebies. The king has supported them, but he was likely disappointed with their choices and made the right decision to cut them off. Meghan's spending on overpriced clothes with King Charles' money didn't pay off as she still didn't look good. It has been confirmed that Harry and Meghan's funding was cut off, just as Harry mentioned in his interview. Long before the Queen's passing, reports suggested that Charles stopped taking Harry's calls. It's understandable why. Harry then started contacting the Queen to get her to convince Charles to talk to him. The story goes that the late Queen asked Charles why he wasn't speaking to Harry, and Charles replied, "I am not a bank apparently. The only reason Harry would call was to ask for money or to have Charles pay their bills." It's unclear why Harry and Meghan would expect the king to pay for her clothing expenses. Harry is married and should be responsible for his wife's expenses if she can't pay for them herself. Most people don't rely on their father-in-law to cover all their bills. It's surprising how Meghan chooses the most expensive clothes and jewelry available, even if someone else is paying for them. Her behavior comes across as opportunistic. After all this, she still accused Charles of racism and criticized the royal family. She expects them to give her whatever she wants, which seems manipulative. Harry doesn't seem to intervene. At the time, reports stated that Meghan spent more on clothes in a year than all the other European royal women combined. That's not a great sign. Interestingly, those women look fantastic, but Meghan often wore clothes that didn't fit her well. Princess Catherine is known for shopping at high street stores and looking gorgeous without spending thousands on clothes. She doesn't rely solely on designer fashion to look great. King Charles is known for his frugality, preferring to allocate his money to charities and other worthy causes rather than indulging in excessive spending. He also wasn't pleased with how much Diana spent on clothes, but she held a more significant role compared to Meghan. In fact, Meghan's wardrobe expenses have been even higher. Given these financial issues, it's understandable that Meghan and Harry face cuts. Despite this, they still accuse King Charles of racism. The claims were made in a book by Omid Scobie, who is known for supporting them. However, Meghan and Harry haven't publicly distanced themselves from the book's controversial statements. Changing their stories and shifting their stances seems to be a pattern for Meghan and Harry. In a magazine interview, Meghan claimed she paid for her own wedding dress, but reports suggest King Charles covered the cost. Charles also paid for the engagement dress, which reportedly cost around PS 75,000. Meghan's spending was over the top and surpassed that of all other royals combined, even the late Queen. A YouTube video details what every royal family member in Europe wore in a single year, showing that Meghan Markle's expenses were higher than all of them combined. This was despite not even attending state occasions. It's quite shocking. Despite spending a lot on clothes, Meghan never quite achieves a polished look. She often appears a bit messy, similar to Harry. Given the high cost of her wardrobe, it's puzzling that she doesn't hire a good stylist to improve her appearance and potentially save money. She could even use the savings to help children in need of clothes, medical care, and food. However, Meghan seems to prioritize herself and doesn't seem open to advice from others, including stylists. This attitude might stem from her belief that she knows best. It's also interesting that Meghan assumed Harry was independently wealthy, and Harry never corrected her misconception. Harry and Meghan often indulged in first class flights and expensive vacations to exclusive, high end locations. Meghan seems to enjoy taking advantage of such luxuries, much like Harry. If your father stops speaking to you because you're constantly asking for money, it's likely you're living beyond your means. This seems to be the case for Harry and Meghan. It's absurd that an adult like Harry, who claimed to be financially independent, would whine and complain about losing his allowance. His interview with Oprah, where he complained about his finances, was surprising and reminiscent of a child. He doesn't seem to grasp that he married a gold digger, which could be his biggest challenge. Imagine never having to cook your own meals again. You just ring a bell and someone comes to serve you. Top designers would beg you to wear their clothes, and you would have a PS 1 million annual clothing allowance. You would also have access to wearing millions of pounds worth of royal jewels. But then you have to curtsy and walk behind two other royals. For Meghan Markle, that was too much to handle, so she chose to walk away. It's clear Meghan believed that marrying into the royal family would mean getting whatever she wanted for the rest of her life. But that wasn't the case, and that's likely why she reacted rudely when she said she couldn't believe she wasn't being paid for her work. In reality, having a clothing expense covered is a form of payment. Meghan denies these stories, but they seem to hold some truth. She wasn't truly interested in the lifestyle of working royals, she just wanted the power and money. No matter how expensive the designer dress she wears, it often looks like it came from the dumpster. When she pursued Harry, all she saw were dollar signs. It's unfortunate that neither Meghan nor Harry seem to outgrow their immature and entitled mindset. How ironic that a couple of adults whined about being financially cut off. Harry must have been quite old to continue receiving financial support from his father after marriage. It's almost laughable that Meghan underestimated the royal family's awareness. She tried to challenge an institution that has stood strong for over 1,000 years. The realization of the extent of Meghan's deception must have been heartbreaking for the royal family, who invested so much care in Harry. Sadly, there will never be enough money for Meghan. It's likely the king understood that providing for her would result in wasted funds, which may have led him to make the decision to cut them off. Meghan may have spent up to PS 1 million on clothes, but we've rarely seen her wear any of those outfits again. It's unclear where they ended up, whether she sold them or kept them is unknown. This situation seems like elder abuse of Charles, as it's time for Meghan and Harry to grow up. Harry should find a job and support himself and Meghan, just like other families do. The cost of Meghan's clothes is disgraceful. What are wealthy people paying for when they spend enormous sums on outfits that often don't seem special? Meghan's expensive taste only arises when someone else is footing the bill. When she has to pay for her own clothes, she tends to choose much cheaper options. Meghan tends to make expensive outfits look cheap, perhaps because she herself has a thrifty attitude. Few outfits complement her figure well, and similar items can often be bought for much less. Beyond clothes, Meghan seems to demand a lifestyle of luxury, from top hotel suites to large security teams and private jets. When spending other people's money, she spares no expense for herself. It's surprising she boasts about her career compared to Princess Catherine's, especially considering the latter's well-established role. The truth is coming out about Harry and Meghan. They seem unable to exist without the royal family, which is likely why they remain so focused on it. This brings us to the end of the video. We'd love to hear your thoughts on King Charles's decision. Please leave a comment to share your opinion. Don't forget to like and share this video if you support our views. And if you disagree, please express your thoughts so we can understand your perspective better. Subscribe to stay updated on our newest videos. Thanks for watching and goodbye.